Welcome to the Peopling Podcast, where we hang out with brilliant human beings who teach us how to be better, well, humans, and decode what makes us tick and click. Inspired by the book Peopling, available on Amazon. Let's get this episode started. Hi, friends. Thank you so much for joining me for the Peopling Podcast. This is in conjunction with my book, For Peopling, where we dive deep into human communication and connection. And I am ecstatic to introduce you to my VIP guest today. He is a dear friend of mine for, probably 6 years now. Is it about 6 years, Tim?
Indeed, although I've often wished I'd had the privilege longer.
One of my favorite people in the world. And once you get to know who he is and what he's about, he's going to become one of your very favorite people in the whole wide world too. Tim Moran is a practicing attorney in Central Florida. His specialty is in estate planning, but he got his start with community legal services. And so today we're going to really unpack the importance and the weight, the heaviness of what our contribution can be in community and to other people through volunteering. So one of the things that I want to share with you is that Tim is an award recipient of an unlimited amount of awards because of his contribution to others through his volunteering and just all of the things that he's up to. He actually won an award in 2023 called the Tobias Simon Award. And this was named after an attorney who was a civil rights activist attorney. And he represented many civil rights activists, including Martin Luther King Jr. And so to get that award out of 100,000 attorneys out of the state of Florida is one of the most extraordinary awards and honors that an attorney can get. So we're going to break down how he got started, what he's up to, and the importance of volunteering in his life to hopefully inspire others to give of yourself, your time, your talents, your treasures, and what is on the other side of it for you through volunteering. So Tim's got awards named after him for incoming attorneys that are making a splash in their community and through their service as well. So it is an honor to be able to share with you one of my favorite people in the entire world, one of my bestest, closest friends, Tim Moran. So Tim, thanks for being here with me.
My very great pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we want to start off by asking, so people can get to know you a little bit, what drew you to the field of legal?
Well, my grandfather, rest his soul, passed before I knew him, was a Supreme Court justice in New York, had actually a perfect record. In none of his cases were ever overturned on appeal. His record was rock solid.
Wow.
So he was quite the inspiration. I never knew him, but Dad always told me stories about him. There was a story once that this man came to him and tried to bribe him, and he went along and talked and whatever. And then he opened the door, and there was the FBI recording the whole thing, and Grandpa set up a sting.
Oh, wow.
That story kind of stayed with me. Of course, that's not what lawyers and judges really do, but my 5-year-old self,
You love that story.
enjoyed getting the bad guys. And he was district attorney, and I thought when I was young that I wanted to be a prosecutor like he did. And then in the 4th grade, in career day, I came home unhappy because none of the jobs there were quite right for me. And Mom said, no, you can do a lot of different things. I'll make you a list. You can be a journalist. You can be a lawyer. And law stuck with me, and I'm very glad it did, because it has so enriched my life. When I had the privilege of talking to you a minute ago, whether I ever wanted to be
A judge.
and we're going to kind of go off that for a minute, and then we'll get somewhere, I promise. I was starting, when I passed the bar, it was the worst time in the world. 2007, foreclosure days, nobody was hiring. There was a ad in the paper. Yes, people read newspapers in 2007. My friends, people read. You actually picked up the newspaper and you read a physical thing made of paper that got on your hands, and it wasn't on a screen. No, but I read an article in the paper that said Community Legal Services, or that was known CLS, was willing to teach foreclosure law. And so I contacted a wonderful, lovely woman who is this force in my life now by the name of Lena Smith. She's known now, Lena Hopkins. She was Smith at the time. And she said, I will hook you up with a mentor. His name's Roberto Cruz, and he is to this day a dear, dear friend of mine. And he mentored me in how to be a lawyer. And because we were doing a grant for loan modifications, which was to keep people in their houses by stretching out and modifying the loan. Was a no-income branch, so anyone who needed help would come. As such, we were what you call busy. We were what you called busy, and so I was doing 3 a day and got a huge 80 case load before too long, and I was well trained and well taught.
Wow.
My earliest case that I was doing free of charge downtown, I got a phone call from Lena, and she said there's a lady who's about to have a summary judgment hearing. Summary judgment means that we're pretty much done. We're pretty much, once you get the summary judgment served,
You're going to get foreclosed.
the house is going to be set. Everything else has happened. The house is going to be set for sale. And she said, go and give her a little respect and dignity. She needs somebody to sit through this hearing with her. And at that time, the loan modification program had just come out a couple weeks ago. And I had taken a CLE or 11 on or something. I've forgotten which. And I called this lady. The hearing was in 2 days. And I said, tell me your numbers. And I said, based on this webinar, I think we can get a modification. So I went to the judge and said, Your Honor, give me 120 days. Set the sale date 120 days out. Let's see what we can do.
Awesome.
And after a year's, 6 months, 8 months worth of submitting paperwork to the bank 20 times to the point where I was cross-eyed, we were able to keep her in her house.
Outstanding. Outstanding. So you helped her avoid foreclosure, helped her be in a payment that she was comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was all through community legal
Yes,
services.
indeed. And from that, and from all the other cases like it, I gained the experience to now run a successful firm that we've had for, having helped us, it'll be 16 years in November. So when you give, you gain.
Wow.
When you give, you gain. It's as if there's a cosmic scale. You gain proportionally. Now, you asked me, did I ever want to be a judge? There's a rule in the state of Florida, and I don't know why this is the rule, with all wonderful respect to the judiciary, why I genuinely hold the highest esteem. We have some wonderful judges. Judges are not allowed to do pro bono work.
Wow.
Are not allowed to do the work. And during COVID, I had a little time to think. I had a little time to think. I thought, well, Moran, you wanted to be a judge since you were 5 years old. You got the law degree. You got the experience. Do you want the role? Because there was an open seat at I knew that there was going to be an open seat. And I knew that no one knows whether you're going to win these things or not, but I had a shot.
Because judges have to run, right?
Yes.
It's an elected position.
The kind of judge that I would want to be would be a county or a circuit judge. And yes, they have to run. It's an elected position. And I had it was within the realm of possibility that I could run and win.
Oh, no doubt. You are loved and respected by many.
And I thought about it, and I thought, if I become a judge, will I stray too far from what refuels me? Will I stray too far from what refuels my tank? And what after a day of, dealing with writing letters and all the pecuniary details that you need to have to run a law practice, and, this person and that person, what truly refuels your tank is helping people that need you the most. And would I be too far from that? And the answer was yes. So it's funny how experience alters what you think you want in life.
That is a very deep statement right there. Experience alters what you think you want in life. So I think it's really an important takeaway that I just got from what you said is, as we grow and learn and have people pour into our lives and we grow ourselves, what we thought was important may not be so important. And what we thought we wanted doesn't have to be the thing we hold on to, right?
Exactly.
Like give ourselves permission to shift a little bit.
Exactly, like shift a little bit, change a little bit. I'm still a lawyer. I'm just different than the one I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Yes, and the other wonderful thing about, there's so many wonderful things about volunteering. In terms of people and connection, I am as close to the people that I did that foreclosure work with as you can believe. I mentored several law students, several of whom I remain close with, and the lawyer Roberto Cruz that taught me. He and I are dear, dear friends to this day. So if you want a people volunteer, you will bond with people. You will make friends for life. And as I tell people, as a lawyer, I sleep well. Sometimes it's from exhaustion, but most of the time, it's a feeling right in the center that you know that you did a job well done and that what you did affected somebody's lives. And with all respect to my wonderful paying clients that I'm so grateful to have, thanks so much to everyone for 15 years who trusted me. Thank you so much for continuing to refer your family and friends and all of it. But the clients that you know wouldn't have your help are the ones that truly matter. And you're thinking to yourself, watching this, but what if I'm not a lawyer? Then go volunteer at Hope Helps. Go give to the food pantry. Go make pillowcases at a hospital. Go find whatever nonprofit or the wonderful sharing center. Find whatever nonprofit or something suits you and spend a little time giving to others and you will gain from it. And even in the non-volunteer method, peopling is more important these days. I'll share it. I was speaking with another wonderful lawyer, dear friend of mine at lunch the other day, and he said, are you worried about AI replacing what you do in the profession? Because wills and LegalZoom and all of that. And I told a story about a client of mine who suffered a recent loss, and they said, what do we need to do? And I said, you need to take some space and grieve. I said, what you need to do is take some space. I know what you need to do. Schedule an appointment a couple of weeks out. Grieve and call me, and we'll get this all done. And the client wrote back and said, thank you for giving me space. And that is the peopling, to follow the title of the wonderful book, the human connection that we need to make sure that AI does not supplant, that human beings connect with people, and by connecting with people, we connect the dots. By learning about my clients, by sitting down and having a simple conversation, very basic, very simple conversation, we learn and connect with them. And by connecting, I then connect my dots in the professional sense that allows me to serve. So we connect, and then we connect the dots, and then we get a better product, and that's the sequence. And that is true in law, and that is true in any profession that you name. You need to observe and watch and connect with the people around you and learn and then execute.
Love that. There's so many people that think that they can get through life on their own. There's so many people that think, well, I don't need other people. And that is evidence and proof that we need other people, even if it's for estate planning, even if it's for helping me figure out what my next step is in facing foreclosure. And especially in your case where you're mentoring incoming attorneys. I imagine law school got you prepared for a lot of things, but not necessarily all the things. I bet a lot of it you had to learn.
Law school depends on what you do. In the day when I was in Gainesville, go Gators UF, I was in Romania Gator, there was a wonderful professor named Don Peters. And Professor Peters taught mediation through the Virgil Hawkins Clinic. And he taught us the meaning of empathy and feeling acknowledgement. And the simple thing of saying, I understand what you're feeling. You must be feeling sad. And of course, we have to remain impartial as we mediate, but we can still acknowledge the feelings of people. We can still people, and by peopling, if I may work in the title of the book, which you all need to go out and buy the book, because the book is even longer than the podcast. The book is longer and even more awesome because there's a lot of her in it. We connect and we people, and then through empathy, people open up and trust us. And if they trust the process, we get a better result.
For sure. For sure.
And that is true not just professionally, But in our day-to-day, in our lives, if we open up and communicate, we're going to get a better result.
When we were talking and connecting before this recording, I was thinking about, our focus today is on volunteering. And there's a lot of people that go through life at blazing speeds, right? I'm balancing all of these things in my life. I don't have time to volunteer. It would be nice to have time to volunteer, but then they work themselves into a semi-state of madness and go home and binge watch just to disconnect, right? So we have the time. It's a choice. What would you say to help somebody get it right with the mindset that somebody is considering volunteering? Maybe they found something that they're quite passionate about, something that makes them so angry it exists, they want to help be part of the remedy of getting rid of it. What would you say to somebody who's thinking about volunteering and inspire them to like, what's on the other side of the feelings of the experience of volunteering?
On the other side of it is knowing that you're part of something bigger than you. You truly are part of something bigger than you when you give to other people. And remember that, yes, you have to balance your life. Yes, I've done 1,000+ hours of volunteer work.
Over 1,500.
Well, okay, Miss Mortgage Numbers Lady. Fine. Yes, I've done that. But I will mention you just this once. You and I have lunch once a month, do we not?
We do.
And we make it a point that the second last thing we do after seeing one another is always, okay, when's the next?
That's right.
And you always need to make it a point to take a little time for you.
Yes.
Take a little time, whether it's lunch with your best friend, or pinball, or pool time, or reading a good book. Take a little time for you. Even if you're passionate about volunteering or whatever, just take a little headspace for you. And then that will make you even better at people and is spending a little time on yourself and unwinding. But back to the thrust, which is volunteering. You don't have to do 1,500 hours like me. You don't. I do that because it is now the core of my being. That organization, Community Legal, CLS, is a part of me now. I will always do, it's integrated into my legal
Your
practice.
DNA anymore, huh?
It's integrated into my legal practice, into my life, and it always will be. And I have made friends and gained experiences. I've had wonderful, wonderful things that I could, that the 5-year-old that heard the story couldn't have even half conceived would be, thanks to that one ad in the paper and taking the time to help people. It's come back to me a billionfold. But you don't have to do that much if you don't want to. Just do a little bit once in a while and you will be better for it and they'll be better for it too. And it's a wonderful way to disconnect.
It is.
Disconnect and connect at the same time.
Yeah, it really is. So we can uncover things that we're passionate about, right? We can lean into the things that are important to what our friends are passionate about and support our friends in those matters. So Tim and I have come to each other's different events. He's got his heart in a lot of different community services and nonprofit organizations. And that's actually how we met, was at a breakfast fundraiser that our mutual friend who'd introduced us, she was serving on the board. That was how she was volunteering at that time for that organization. And she invited each of us, knowing that we have a heart for serving others in our community. And then, in addition to being introduced that way, you serve on community legal services as an attorney there. You serve in a lot of other community realms. You support the local police foundation that you've invited me.
Police Foundation.
That's right. You invited me to be part of. And so I support you in that mission. I serve on a board of a really amazing nonprofit called iDignity, and you've been a great supporter of that, because it's important to me. So even if you don't have your own thing, right, that you have found what lights you up, the people who are important in your life, ask them what's important to them.
They can guide you to something.
For sure. Come alongside them, right? Maybe if one of your friends says, hey, I serve breakfast to the homeless through my church once a month, ask if you can come along the next time and just get a taste of what it feels like.
And you will find that your view expands.
Unpack that a little bit.
You will find that you will learn things you did not expect to. You will get a different perspective. You will see things through different eyes, which will make you better when you look again at the world around you. You will come to appreciate the small things. For me, when you see someone in such need of help, it also makes you very grateful for those around you.
Wow.
Very grateful for those around you. And it does not need to be a long affair. I did a case once. Lovely lady was needed to get to a cabin that was being offered to her with her 2 children. And she was going to sell this motorhome to do it. And I did a contract so that she could sell the motorhome properly and be legally protected. And we got her and her 2 children to the cabin in 2 hours' work. So it doesn't have to be a long amount of time. You can spend a couple of hours one weekend a month, or a couple of hours every couple months. But I'm going to share a pet peeve. I'm sorry, but don't just volunteer at Christmas. I'm sorry, but don't just volunteer at Christmas. We love it. We do. But do it the rest of the year.
And maybe with the right intentions too, not necessarily to just post on social media and say, look how great I am.
Well, I was about to say that. Do it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I love what you said about how it broadens your perspective. I know that when life gets a little heavy, or something that I'm dealing with becomes the focal point of my life, it becomes this really big thing that I can't see anything else. Yes.
The vision.
It narrows your vision. So the only thing you can see is this thing. It's really hard to see anything or anybody else.
And then when you volunteer and you help people, it reminds you, it sort of takes the blinders off, doesn't it?
Look at that. Yes.
It takes the blinders off, doesn't it? And it reminds you that, and we all, and this is not to minimize the problems that people have, because that big thing that's clouding your vision probably is a big thing. We all got to deal with serious things. But sometimes when we're in the midst of something serious, helping people can kind of refuel the tank and give us a little more to keep going on.
Yes. I also love what you said too. It brings a fresh perspective, a different perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, and it helps you appreciate the things and the people and our health and, you know, what we have been gifted. Yeah. So I want to ask you, if somebody's considering volunteering and they're like, okay, I can give a couple of hours a month or once a quarter or something like that, and they're not quite sure exactly what they want to volunteer for. Do you have some ways or some manners and some ideas and suggestions?
Well, I am not the expert here. I would just kind of thrust into it randomly. But I would say, think about what you love to do. And there's normally a need for anything. For example, Oviedo Women's Club, why they do a sewing group. And they do, at one point, they did quilts. Now I think it's, don't quote me on the quilts because it's something else now. Don't quote the quilts. But you get the idea. If you like to sew, there's a group for sewing. If you like to cook, there's people that need food. If you like to knit, there's a wonderful group called Lion that does pillowcases for people in hospital.
Wow.
Any skill is necessary. If you like to plant, then do some landscaping for Habitat for Humanity. Don't know what you like to do, then go to an organization, a nonprofit, and say, what do you need me to do? They will tell you what they need you to do, and odds are it's not. You don't have to be like me where you got trained in a new discipline of law. No, you can just go in and say, how do you need a boot on the ground?
Yeah, I love that. I've stuffed bags at, you'd mentioned earlier, a food pantry, and I'd stuff bags for a food pantry where these families can come in and get meals, you know, like the pantry stuff.
Did you give them too much food?
No, I'm so good at following instructions and I don't want to disappoint. So I followed instructions to a T.
That would be why I couldn't do that, because I would be like,
a little bit more.
You want some extra here? Okay. I'm very glad you stayed in the line.
No, I was a good girl and followed the instructions, but you know, it wouldn't have been something I would have like signed up for. I called this organization that is doing great things in our community and I said, where do you need the help? And they said, we've got this big event coming up in 2 Sundays. Can you help us here? And I said, yes. I gladly said yes. And I thought when I first heard the assignment, like, oh, great. Is this gonna, you know, not be rewarding? I'm just gonna kind of, no, I left there with new friends. I left there feeling like how you're saying, you like fills up your cup, it fills up, it refuels your tank, you said, recharges your batteries. All of a sudden you get to see humanity and the world from a different perspective. And you made a difference. You said something before we started recording. You mentioned a ripple effect.
Yes, see, we think that our actions are very small, but their actions very large. Because think if you gave food to a child. I'm sure there were children in the food pantry.
Of course. Yes, of course.
Now imagine that one of those children is the 54th president of the United States. That you just gave food and nourished someone that may end up president, or that may end up the doctor that cures cancer, or not, that may simply end up someone who had a kindness done to them and then does a kindness to somebody else. And then the ripple continues. And the smallest acts, sometimes we're in a vacuum. We're in a vacuum and we're doing our thing. And we don't know that the smallest act makes a difference. And that gets back to your, if we may return to your peopling, the thrust of this, and I can say this because of how long I've had the great privilege in the world to know you, is get off the screens, even though you're watching us on one. When you're done watching this, hopefully you've had a good time, but go and connect and don't be in such a small, narrow scope.
Yeah.
And that's when we learn and that's when we grow.
I love that you said that. I just finished a book recently. It was David Brooks, How to Know a Person. Did you read it yet?
No, I'll put it on my list.
Put it on your list. And in the book, he had referenced about the psychologist's work. I think it was Nicholas Epley. And he's talking about how he did this study. And he was following people around on subways. And he had some people just be buried in their phone the entire ride. And he had some people sit without distractions and actually attempt to start conversations with complete strangers. Obviously not somebody that looked dangerous or angry or anything like that. And he said it was really amazing when he had interviewed these people afterwards. People are terrified to start conversations with other people because of like maybe that sense of rejection, or they're not going to talk to me, they're not going to be receptive, something along those lines. But if we put the phones down and we made eye contact and we just smiled to somebody, we said something kind, you have a beautiful smile, thank you for sharing it with me. Right? Hope you have a great day. Anything along those lines, like energy is so contagious. You can shift a lot of things for a lot of people.
Exactly. I mean, you may have to edit this bit.
That means I'm not.
The day that I met you, speaking of energy, it was like, wow. I'm not sure if we should say the name of the dear sweet friend that introduced us, but she said, I think you two might do a little business together. Chuckle.
I know.
Chuckle. Yeah, I mean, if we put ourselves out there, we gain.
Absolutely.
The people that I now know through the volunteer work, whether it be my wonderful dear friends at Community Legal Services, who, as somebody put it once, oh my God, this is the group after 15 years. Here we are, and we are. It bonds you. It bonds you in a way that strengthens you. And that gets back to peopling, because when we people, we are stronger. When we communicate, have dialogue, and we all need our devices, whether we admit it or not. The bloody things are necessary in today's society. Yes, you got to check the email. Yes, you can't even listen to music without the internet now. God, I miss records.
But it's not our sense of belonging.
No,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So my dad used to volunteer with the Salvation Army. And honestly, I never saw him more happy than when he volunteered with the Salvation Army. And I kept saying, Dad, you're just overflowing. Your heart is bursting with joy when you volunteer. Go volunteer more. And he was quite reluctant to it. But this leads me into our final part of the conversation, which is the Be the Change challenge. So we want to be the change in the world that we'd like to see for ourselves. So if we want more peace, we give and offer more peace. We want more love, we're the first ones to hand it off. So we have a ton of organizations out there that rely on volunteering. It's their lifeblood in order to serve others in the community. So if there could be like one actionable thing that somebody could take charge of and implement this week right away, what's your challenge for them to be the change?
Find something. There are two ways to look at it. Either find something you love that you're good at and give it. give it to somebody else. Say, listen, I'm a cook, I'm going to go cook. I'm a this, I'm going to go that. Or learn something new, like I did in a new area of law, and give that. And you don't have to give some huge slice of your cake. Leave enough for you.
That's nice.
Just give a little bit, and that giving will grow.
I love that.
That giving will grow, and hopefully you will find yourself in the position that I find myself in, happy and content and having something that could center you and make you better at whatever it is you do. And you're volunteering. I was fortunate because my volunteering dovetailed with the job. And that does make volunteering easier because I can do it within the confines of the practice and have done volunteer work during a day and then go home and drink root beer, play pinball, and read some 18th century history. But you can also, doesn't have to dovetail with your job. I was just a lovely one to find it.
Well, we're given some gifts, aren't we? We all have some gifts, and sometimes volunteering will expose us to those gifts, and it's actually not meant for us to hold on to. It's meant for us to give to the world.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for sharing your gifts with the world.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that your heart for serving others and for volunteering actually turned into your law practice.
It was the foundation.
It really was. And you haven't stepped away from what's important to you, which is serving others. So that's what you do in your law practice and when you volunteer.
You can serve and prosper at the same time.
Oh, words to live by. Deep Thoughts by Tim Moran. I love that. That is extraordinary. That is a quotable from this episode. So thank you so much, my friend, for being here with me and being part of this journey. And I know you've got a lot of actionable steps to take out of this. Thank you for being part of our peopling community. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to the Peopling Podcast, and grab your copy of the Peopling book on Amazon, and let's keep this connection movement going. Until next time, be curious, be kind, and keep peopling like you mean it.